So how did the witches come to their end, if not engulfed by the flames? Hey everyone, and welcome back. My full breakdown and review of the Acolyte episode 3 will be out later this week. In the meantime, I wanted to discuss several interesting theories that came to mind whilst watching episode 3, and if true, will go on to have a pretty huge impact on the series and the wider Star Wars lore. Just quickly, if you are new to the channel and love discussing Star Wars theories, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more. Okay, so starting off with theory number 1, Sol, Indara, Kalnecca and Torbin arrive on Brendock to keep a watchful eye on Mae and Osha. The Jedi's mission is twofold. Firstly, substantiate claims that the witches are training Osha and Mae by manipulating the threads of the Force to their will. More on this to follow in my full review. The Jedi's second mission on Brendock is to retrieve both Osha and Mae and bring them back to Coruscant, or so it would seem.
You'll be safe on Coruscant. And if you wish, your train as my Padawan.
So the Jedi confront the witches during the ceremony and ask that the children be tested in the ways of the Force, similar to how any potential young Forcer would be tested. Torbin takes a sample of their blood to no doubt test their midichlorian levels, leaving Indara and Sol to carry out the test, similar to how we saw Mace Windu and Yoda test Anakin at the Jedi Temple. Prior to all this, however, not wanting her children to leave the Coven, Mother Anastasia formalizes a strategy which involves the children lying during the Jedi test. This is where it gets interesting. Mae heads into the ship and is tested first. We don't see Mae's trials on the ship, but let's assume she is tested in the same way we see Osha tested shortly after. Both Mae and Osha carry out the plan, lying to the Jedi, and all seems to be going well. Sol, however, senses that Osha is lying during the test.
A mountain.
And she validates this with a slip of the tongue.
That wasn't a mountain.
But why hadn't Sol sensed Mae lying? Or is there more to this than meets the eye? Like I said, this is where it gets interesting. What if Sol had sensed Mae was lying during the test and chose to ignore her lies? Or was Sol unable to sense Mae's lies? Looking at why Sol may have chosen to ignore Mae's lies, and it's possible to theorize that the Jedi were never interested in taking both sisters back to Coruscant to be trained as Jedi, only Osha. Or had the Jedi predetermined that Mae was the weaker of the twins during one of their scouting missions? Not every young Force user gets to be trained as a Jedi, and perhaps that is why Osha, in this scenario, is the chosen one, so to speak. The next theory surrounds the idea that there's an underlying darkness to all this. What if Mae was able to conceal her lies during the test, using the dark side of the Force to block out any Jedi senses, similar to how Palpatine was able to conceal his true identity to the entire galaxy? I'm not saying that Mae is as strong in the Force as Palpatine, of course she isn't, but the Jedi can at times miss what's right under their noses, especially when the mission is not to seek out any dark Force users. To back up this theory, we repeatedly see Mae with anger in her eyes. She's very powerful with the Force, and as we see towards the end of the episode, she's willing to burn down her entire coven to get what she wants. I don't know about you, but this speaks of a darker side within Mae. Moving on to our next theory, as the coven burns, Sol and Osha are seen making their escape from the mountain now engulfed in flames. As they make their escape, Sol and Osha come across the lifeless bodies of Mother Anastasia and the many witches of the Coven. Now, if you look very closely, and this is where our second theory comes into play, none of the witches seem to have suffered any burns from the raging fire. So, how did the witches come to their end, if not engulfed by the flames? One theory that could hold up involves the Jedi murdering the witches. There's several ways this scenario played out. Firstly, believing the Jedi had started the fire, what if the witches attacked the Jedi off screen? Seems reasonable to some degree to attack those who you suspect started the inferno, that engulfed your entire home? Or did the Jedi murder the witches in order to get to Osha, sensing a greatness in her power and equally feeling threatened by the power the witches have? As the fire rages, Sol is seen searching for Osha, not Mae. So, murdering the witches and seeking out Osha line up in terms of timing. This next part plays out later in theory number 3. But what if Mae observed the witches and the Jedi mid-battle, believing the Jedi had attacked the witches? But what Mae didn't see was the witches attacking the Jedi first, believing they were to blame for the fire. This would explain the reasons behind Mae carrying so much hate for the Jedi, and subsequently is on a killing spree to take down the 4 Jedi who took away her everything. Moving on to our final theory in this video, and what if the events that took place between Mae starting the fire and Mae stood under the tree in the final shot of the episode are played out in a future episode? Importantly, in this future episode, we see these missing scenes played out from Mae's perspective. If this theory plays out and Mae witnesses the Jedi attacking the witches first, not only would this change Jedi lore as we know it, but it would give plenty of weight and motive for Mae to hate the Jedi so deeply and create a destiny in which the Jedi die at her hands. This also lines up perfectly with what Mae said to Indara in episode 1.
Jedi do not attack the unarmed. Yes, you do.
Does this mean the actions of the Jedi on Brendock went on to create a very powerful darkside user in Mae, and creating the plot which sees Mae hunting down and killing the 4 Jedi involved in the Brendock Inferno? As mentioned up top, a full review is coming to the channel. It's going to take a little more time than usual given the amount of potential changes in lore and the series not quite hitting the notes I'd hoped for. But for now, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed listening to these theories. Be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments too. The series is still hiding its larger secrets, and it's great to discuss these at length. Hit that subscribe button if you'd like to see more theories and adventures, and as always, may the Force be with you.